All right, welcome, May. Thank you so much for doing this interview today. I've already said your name, but my first question was, can you tell everyone your name, your age, and what passions you have in life?
So my name's May. I'm 13 years old and I make music and I do art. So I really enjoy doing that.
Great, thank you. Why did you start doing sessions with me? Do you want to tell us a bit about what your struggles were or are? No.
Well, my sister did was doing meditation, so I was interested in doing it because I heard that it was very good for just regulating your emotions and with anxiety and everything. And I struggled with my eating disorder and depression and stuff like this. So I just thought that maybe if I was able to talk to someone else, it would help me out and just to be able to relax a bit more.
Okay, so your sister was doing group sessions with me, wasn't she? And then your mum thought, maybe we would get on as well. Do you want to talk a little bit more about your eating disorder, or what were the most difficult things for you at the time, like before you started sessions with me?
So I just come out of the hospital from my eating disorder. So I did therapy, but I felt that maybe I needed something else because I felt that I was connecting to the therapist, but not. It's when I'm doing meditation, it's on a different level. So I just felt that I could escape for like that moment during the class, and when I came out, I just felt really like relaxed or just tired sometimes. I worked like a lot.
Yeah. I realised I forgot to introduce someone else who's in this interview, which I'm going to move a bit so you can see. This is Pumpkin. This is my cat Pumpkin, and he's got a bit of a sore foot right now. So we're also accompanying him, and he's accompanying us while we do this. While we do this little interview, and you know what? He is a great little meditator, and when I'm doing sessions at home, whether it's in the house or in the garden, he often comes and joins in. So he's just chilling out here with us on the sofa as well. That's really interesting what you said about the sessions and how you felt afterwards. Before we talk more about what we actually did in the sessions, I'm curious to know what your expectations were before you came, because you didn't know me. You're a teenager, and often I think teenagers perhaps have this idea, or from their own personal experience, like meditation or mindfulness is like boring, blah. So what were your expectations, or what did you expect before you came?
I was interested in a way because I wanted to see, like, I didn't really understand much of it and I didn't really know how it worked. But also part of me didn't really believe in it, or that by concentrating and doing all this stuff that I could get better and relax more. So I was a bit skeptical, but I enjoyed it.
Thanks for that and the sincerity, and I think it's a really natural state, and it's a really natural way to feel, especially with teenagers with maybe a first session, and I've seen it with other people I've worked with as well. Another teenager I worked with who was 14 at the time when I did sessions with him, and after the first session he said, oh wow, like I honestly, I thought it was going to be so boring. It was really cool. Yeah. But I think it's a case of perhaps just trusting, and being curious, and then like waiting to have your opinion after you've tried it for the first time.
Yeah.
Do you remember your first session, or do you remember perhaps some of the first sensations you felt after doing the first session or the first couple of sessions with me? Because I think we did about 9 sessions over about a 3-month period, something like that.
Yeah. I just remember, I remember more the sensations more than like the whole thing. When I was like when you were guiding me through meditation, I remember like really like believing what you were saying, like seeing it. When you told me to imagine stuff, and that one with like the colors in the body, that was like my favorite, and like I could really see it, and that was like surprising to me.
And how did it feel in your body to have those experiences?
First, I didn't really feel anything, but the more I did it, the more like relaxed I felt when it was happening. Like it just felt natural at the end.
And I suppose that didn't happen from the first session.
No.
And it's also, you know, the way I work. So I trained with an international school called Connected Kids, and we're very much like what we do is holistic and bespoke for each individual, you know, and me as a human being who might have ideas, and then I might try them in real life, you know, in a session, and perhaps sometimes one idea doesn't quite fit for you. If you remember, one time we worked with crystals, which work for some people and for others they don't. And I remember you saying, "Yeah, I don't really believe in this or whatever." And that's it's really interesting to go on that journey together, right? Like trying things and seeing what fits, and like basically over the sessions that we did, like, you know, my intention is always to give the young person I work with like as many mindful tools as they can. So empowering you, giving you things that work for you, that are interesting and that you feel motivated to try and to keep trying. And then you go out in the world and you can use these for as long as you need, which could be a couple of years, and you could be using them and adapting them for your whole life, you know. And that's for me, that's the magic of the work I do. And it's very much a learning experience for me as well as a teacher. And that's something that we've always talked about in Connected Kids, you know, the ability and being receptive to be teachable as a teacher, you know. And it's like I love when I feel like the tools I'm giving and the meditations I'm guiding are like a co-collaboration. Like I feel like they should be like that. Because we used because you draw and May, she really draws really well. And like you have a really unique style and things, and we focused on that a bit in the sessions, didn't we? Do you remember anything we did with the art stuff, you know, knowing that that's a passion of yours?
We did a meditation once, and it was, I think you made me imagine my safe place, or maybe like something in nature, and then
something like that.
After that, you asked me to draw it out and like then think of a word. So it was interesting because it wasn't anything that I'd expected, like, but it came like quickly. I knew just what I was thinking about. So
amazing. Perhaps sometimes during the sessions you've been surprised. Would you say? In what way would you say you've been surprised by what we did or by what you felt?
Most the meditations I expected to like really be conscious of the time, like thinking that like, oh, this is being like, she's doing this for so long, but when we had a meditation and we finished, you were like, yeah, it was for half an hour or 20 minutes, and I thought it was only for like 10 minutes or 5, so that was quite surprising for me.
Yeah, there was definitely a couple of times where we did longer meditations, and you felt interesting sensations in your body as well, which were quite surprising. And talk to me about focus and concentration, because obviously our teenage years is a time where if we're in the standard conventional education system, there's a lot of demands about studying and about exams and about performance. You know, I might not necessarily agree with the education system we have, however, that it is what we have, and meditation and mindfulness can help us in many ways. But I'd like to hear from you before I talk about the benefits and what my experience is. Like how have the sessions helped you in terms of mental what's the word, mental capacity, I suppose, or concentration or anything like that?
I was thinking about this before I came because I thought like I'd plan this one out because it's like I want to say it well, and I remember like it made me doing the meditation afterwards. I'd reflect on it, and I started to sort of concentrate on what was really important because even though education, like it's a big part, like and it's like very important for everyone. Maybe it's not maybe what fits me, but like I don't want to become like someone like a doctor or anything like that. I want to do art, so I realized that it didn't have to be a big part like of my worries, and that I could focus on other things that made me happier. And as long as I did my best, it didn't matter. So I felt more relaxed about academics after the meditations because I realized that during the meditation I wasn't thinking about it, so it couldn't have like it wasn't important.
Wow, that's really powerful. Thanks for sharing. It's interesting, isn't it? Because there's a lot of focus and pressure to get good grades. And while I do understand that's important, it's also so vital that we know what I asked you at the start, what our passions are, what you said now, what makes you happy, and make sure we have a healthy balance. So I'm really glad that you've got to that point and that what we've done in our sessions have helped. I love this word, like empowering. So like the idea, what I said earlier in the sessions, I'm giving you tools that can empower you. What does that word mean for you, and how have the sessions helped you feel more empowered or more yourself, or whatever word you would, that's my word, maybe you have a different word.
I think for me the empowerment is being able to concentrate on yourself, putting yourself first, being strong, like but not for anyone else, just for yourself, and understanding your limits and everything, and that you are who you are. So like your inner strength mostly. So
it's very interesting that you say that, and it's very inspiring to hear it as well. And there's something that in my personal practice and also with other young people I work with, for me it's so important to bring awareness, to ourselves, to our bodies, to the sensations, so that we know what our limits are, what you said. And when we talk about limits, I like to use the example of just simple things like understanding and realizing what we like, what feels good in our body and what we don't like, because when we have that awareness, then we can go, oh no, wait, oh no, that activity actually, it doesn't make me feel good, or spending time with that person. Oh, these are the things that I'm really drawn to and I'm really interested in. What changes do you notice that thanks to the sessions, and are there any tools or techniques that you're using that we've explored together in the sessions?
I remember you explaining to me about the brain and the different, like the communication part, and then well, all of that. It was a bit complicated, but I remember the basics. And then you told me a way of, because I have autism, sometimes I get overwhelmed, and I don't always like physical touch, but sometimes I feel like I need it, just that sort of support. And you taught me about holding the head, like the back and the front. And I've been asking my parents to do that when I get stressed, usually with schoolwork, and I find that's been really helping me.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, so I call this one the head hug, or the amygdala hold. And it's something that I work along. So it's one hand here and one at the back. I'll probably do another video explaining that, I think, like a short video, but it's a really powerful and like practical and accessible tool. Like one thing is being in sessions and receiving guided visualizations, which can help you process and it can help you connect. And then other things, and that, excuse me, and that kind of magical creative part. And then, another part of the work I do is I always make sure it's like, as well as being fun and dynamic, practical and pragmatic. Like here's some simple tools that you can do in the street, that you can do in your home. Okay. Anything that what's the biggest thing you've learned, or what's the biggest thing that you take with you from the sessions and from your experience with me?
Well, obviously, being a teenager, you have a lot of sort of things you want to rebel against, and you want to sort of be like naughty and do stuff. I felt I've like it's not like I obviously still have thoughts that I want to be doing like stuff and rebelling against it, but more maybe understanding about how it will affect me as a person. I feel more in like I think I'm feel different than other kids, but that's obviously because I feel more mature than them, and I just have like more knowledge, I think, and I'm just I don't know. I like coming here and just enjoying it. So
thank you. That's such a lovely answer, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. For me, it's so important that the people I work with look forward to the sessions and we can have a laugh as well. You know, for me, I learned a lot in the sessions as well, and you know, it's a humbling experience to hear you talk with such wisdom and awareness. Really interesting the thing you said about I think I feel different from other kids, you know, and this is something I've talked a lot about in my own personal journey, like feeling that I don't fit in and feeling that I don't belong and I'm a bit of a misfit, and the importance of owning that and being comfortable with it, and also that that's the kids and the families that I tend to attract. For whatever reason, whether it's because we have different interests, you know, you've talked about your art as well. You know that your art's quite different and maybe not a lot of people, you know, might understand it, or at the moment you've not met so many people that understand it, or different because we've got autism, or different because we feel more mature, you know, and how that can be challenging and uncomfortable sometimes. However, it's really important to understand who we are and embrace our passions, you know, which is kind of what you said earlier. You know?
Yeah, at school, I feel everyone's very like copy and paste. Like just everyone's sort of
I love that.
Sort of the same. I remember this happened like 2 days ago, where I have a friend at school and she's a bit different than everyone else, but I like that about her. She's into different music than all the other kids. You know, everyone in Spain's like reggaeton, Bad Bunny, and everything. And she's more like alternative like me. And no one really likes her because of that. And then I remember one kid saying, "You don't like her because she's different to another kid," and that scares you because everyone here is very like it's the same. So it's intimidating for you having someone different, and I felt that was really like good he said that, because it was like I don't know, I like that. And then I told him after that. It was good. So
what did you tell him?
Told him that I thought it was very mature of him to say that, because everyone's a bit rude to her, and he was just like, well, you only don't like her because she's different, she's not like you, you know, and she's intimidates you because she's different. So
why do you think people are so scared to be different?
Mostly of other people's opinions, and I feel I'm definitely like I've been through that. I need to, but I realize that I am my real self is there, like it's just inside of me, and sometimes on the outside I try to hide it because I'm scared of what other people will think. But I just with my art, and also I feel like I've been able to really like find out who I am and just accept that I'm different. You know, there's going to be people that are like me, so I don't really need to worry. So
do you remember that quote, that expression that a student of mine said to me? I must have, I think I told you it was, she's 11 at the time, and she'd been chatting to her cousin who was 18, and her cousin was like, oh yeah, I've been, you know, this concept, this idea of like, if you don't show up in the world as your true self, you'll never find your people. No? I don't know if you remember, we talked about that at the end of a session once, and that's kind of like what, you know, a different way of saying what you just said. And it definitely inspires me, so thank you for sharing that. And you know, being up for standing out as your true self. I've asked you lots of questions. Do you have any questions you want to ask me, or anything else that you want to comment or share?
Well, sort of what it was like for you doing the meditation with me and how you felt.
That's a great question. What was it like for me doing the meditation with you? I was excited before we started, because it was a new challenge for me working with you. I'd never worked with a young person with eating disorders. So on a personal level, I suppose I even had, and this happens to me, it's my mind, and this is part of the reason why I need to meditate. You know, my mind was, I kind of doubted my abilities for like a small moment. And I remember I even felt a little bit nervous before the first session, but that's natural for me. You know, when we step out of our comfort zone and we do something new, then perhaps it's a little bit uncomfortable, you know, but the more we do it, then the braver we feel and we believe in ourselves, you know. So I think you'd been here for about 2 minutes and I was like, oh, you know, this, yeah, we're going to understand each other, I think, you know. Definitely. And I've worked a lot with younger kids from like kind of the ages between 7 to 10 and 11. And I'm working more and more with teenagers now. And it's just a really interesting, again, on a personal level, it's a very interesting experience for me. Because you're at a different stage, you know, you're a bit more mental like I am. So there's a bit more mirroring going on, which can sometimes be more challenging because you know, you're maybe reliving things from when you were younger. And, you know, anyone who knows about my personal journey and my challenges when I was a teenager, it all started for me when I was kind of 16, you know. So I know you're not 16, but it's now when I start working with kids, well, with teens who were more similar to the age I was when I lost my way and got very anxious and stopped sleeping and just had terribly low self-esteem and really bad depression, then you know, that's it's powerful and it's very rewarding as well, you know. So that's, you know, generally how I feel when I work with teenagers. And then working with you, I really enjoyed the trust that we built up and your honesty and your sincerity. You know, if you didn't like something or if something didn't work, you know, I picked up on it anyway. But I really appreciated you saying and the kind of the depth of the conversations we had as well. And also just seeing your evolution, you know. And I know life is not like this, no. So sometimes you came, you know, it was kind of like this, and sometimes you'd been good for a while and then you kind of had a bit of a crash. And, you know, when we worked through that together, and I really admired your consistency, you know, and your determination to turn up regardless of how you felt and to tell me exactly how you are feeling. And it's really, for me, it's really important to build up that trust. You know, it's a safe space so you can share whatever you need to share, and then we'll work through it together. Cat, bless him. And there was one more thing that I wanted to say. Yeah, just very inspiring, you know, seeing you, you know, understand or learn new things about yourself or consolidate things, you know, with your art. You know, kind of, you had a moment of thinking, oh, you know, people don't understand my art, or maybe I'm going to stop doing it, you know. But that was momentary, and you've kept on going, you know. So and the last thing that I find very inspiring as well, and motivates me so much to keep going, is when you talk about wanting to help other young people and other families. You know? Why is it important for you to help other families, you know, and talk about your struggles, for example, with your eating disorder, with your autism? You know, I know you've talked about it in public spaces. Like, what's your motivation? Why is it important to you?
I think there's a lot of, like, is it stigma, you'd say, or taboo?
You could say both.
Well, around every, like, thing about mental illness. And no, I don't. I think a lot of parents maybe come from a different kind of age and stuff, and they don't understand their kids, or I've had friends that have had problems and their parents don't really understand. So I've done like open mics because I make my own songs, and one of them, it was for the eating disorder day. Like I went to a hospital and talked about it, and I just feel like parents just need to be there for their kids and be able to understand them, not think that they're any like just be on the same level as their kids, and that also helps the kids to get better. And I've got a good relationship with my parents through all like my depressive episodes and everything, and I was able to work through it because of them. So that was I just want parents to be able to understand their kids.
And you think through your music as well, it's a way to connect,
Yeah,
and for maybe to help them understand or question things.
Yeah.
Okay, amazing. Anything else you want to ask or share before we finish? Just have the cat right in the middle here. Oh, darling, no, you can't touch that. No, you don't know. Leave it. We done?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time, May, and for speaking so eloquently, and for teaching me a lot, actually. Thanks very much.
So thank you.
Thanks.